The Guardians officially took ownership of Comerica Park with a 4-game sweep, won 12 of the last 13 in Detroit. And even though they won the opening game of this series by 6, it was Thursday's game that felt like the biggest win.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
After an opening series win by 6 runs in Detroit, the Guardians had a bunch of 1-run games. This one on Thursday was a 2-run victory, but it felt like the biggest one. This is Locked On Guardians, your only daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians for the majors, the minors, the draft, everything in between. That's Jeff Ellis on the other side of the mic and computer. And I'm Justin Lada. Jeff's been hosting the podcast for 8 years, me for 4. We've got 19 years of experience covering the Guardians minor league system and the draft. On today's show, we'll talk about the upcoming series in Philadelphia, a possible timeline for Daniel Espino. We'll talk about the Patrick Bailey trade and how it worked out on Thursday. But, Jeff, we start off with, I think this was the best win of the series for the Guardians because they beat probably the best pitcher that's healthy on the Tigers, and you didn't have your best relievers available. You didn't have any Cade Smith. You didn't have Colin Holderman. You didn't have, I can't believe Colin Holderman's in that group now, but he is. You didn't have Eric Sabrowski. So you beat arguably their toughest healthy pitcher, and you held down.
I don't even think it's arguable. I think you could say just their toughest healthy pitcher.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's not even arguable. Sure. Casey Mize, they scraped some runs together off him. Joey Cantillo played or had a tough first inning and got out of it without any issues. And you end up holding the lead with arguably your B and C relievers like Tim Herron and Cody Hoyer, who's only here because Peyton Paulette is out
having a baby.
Dude, yeah, his wife is having a baby. He's there along for the ride. And
that's we got Tim a junior Herron situation going on.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was the best win of the series. Like the first win of the series being winning by 6 and beating Framber Valdez, it felt good. Then you had a pair of one-run wins after that. And I know coming back in the 9th inning against the Tigers on Wednesday and winning an extras on the road, which is never easy, by the way. Winning an extras on the road is very hard. But I think just given who was on the mound and who wasn't available in the bullpen for the Guardians, it felt like a game that probably should have gone the Tigers' way, and it didn't, because the Guardians are the better team right now, and they've continued to prove that this last 4 games, the last 12 or 13 times in Detroit now, which is unbelievable because, man, I remember a time where Cleveland just could not win against Detroit at all. Like back in the early Miguel Cabrera eras, they just could not beat them. Like there was a lot of time back then where you knew playing Detroit just meant pain. And now I think Detroit wants to do anything but be seeing Cleveland on the other side of the ledger.
Yeah, it's, it feels like every game was impressive in its own way. Just between beating up on Framber, the comeback, but the nice thing in this game is like they came in shorthanded. They knew that like half the bullpen they couldn't use because Major League Baseball hates Cleveland and keeps scheduling 13 games
in a row,
and then one day off, then another 13 in a row, and one off and another 13 in a row. So half their bullpen wasn't even available. Thankfully, Cantillo didn't get blown out of this one early, or we'd have been in trouble.
Easily could have.
Yeah, because he started out rough, but after that first inning, he ended up tied for the second highest amount of strikeouts he's had all year. He shut down Riley Green multiple times. Excuse me. He did his job. To me, the 3 stars are pretty clearly. Maybe someone will argue that I am not correct with this, but Rocchio had the 3 hits. It's Bailey, who was a master of the ABS and had that home run to give him some separation. And then it was Cantillo for pitching as deep as he did in the game. It was fun. Like, it's hard to sweep a 4-game series to begin with. This team,
on the road.
Yeah, on the road, a 4-game series on the road. It's only their second sweep of the year. I know everyone. I'm sorry. Let's take out the sweeper, as is the tradition. Oh, the front fell off of it, much like how the front has fallen off of the Detroit Tigers season. But it's easier for me to find that than it is for the Tigers to to fix theirs. But yeah, this is a team that just continues to do the little things right. Continues to. I mean, we haven't even talked about Angel Martinez had a heck of a play where he nearly hurt himself in this one that catch he made. So many guys stepped up in little ways, and it was enough. Yeah, you'd like to score more. You'd like to make it so it's out of reach, but for a team that essentially had to throw their B and C level relievers, and for a team that was facing Casey Mize has been a darn good pitcher this year when healthy. The toughest pitcher they faced in a few days, probably the toughest pitcher in their last 7 games. I don't think Casey Mize is tougher than anyone I think they faced with the Reds. So to go out and get the win, this was impressive. It was great to see. They just keep, they got a very tough weekend series with who they're facing next with the Phillies and that, but this one felt extra sweet, I think, for everyone involved.
Yeah, when you have a getaway day and there's no off day in between here because the schedule is what it is, you definitely want to get that last win. Like, taking 3 of 4 in Detroit obviously was going to be good no matter what. I mean, we said at the very least you want to split in a 4-game series. That's what you want, especially on the road. That's what you want at the minimum. And, Framber Valdez has been tough on the Guardians in the past, and Casey Mize is having a great year. So you could have easily chalked up those 2 games to losses, right? Because you had Slade Ciccone in the one game where things weren't, looking great, and for him, but he pitched better. And then, you just assume you're going to lose the Tanner Bibee start because you're not going to score any runs for him, which they didn't, but they found a way to score once he was out of the game, and enough to
literally no runs.
Literally no runs. Yes, 1.3 runs per game right now is what Tanner is getting, which is just awesome. But they got the W, and that's all that really matters in the end. They did win. And then Thursday you would have assumed, okay, law of averages, Casey Mize is on the mound. You just would have assumed that the Tigers would get one of those at the end. And you were messaging me off air, Jeff. You said that in the 4-game series, the Tigers had more base runners. So at some point you expect those things to even out, but that's where this comes into play again. The same mantra is good teams find a way to win, bad teams find a way to lose. I would say early in the game, they probably had some not undeserved runs, but a little bit of luck, like Daniel Schneeman's broken bat hit that drove in Rocchio. And let's also point out too, the reason Rocchio was able to get that first hit is because he challenged a call at was it his first at bat or second at bat? There was an at bat where he challenged a 2-strike call and he got it overturned, and then he went on to get another hit. But he kept fighting with 2 strikes in that first at bat with 2 outs, got on base, and ended up scoring on the Schneeman broken bat single. And then Jose came up, and Jose, just like he did in Toronto against Kevin Gausman, basically went down to a knee to get to Casey Mize's splitter. They had 2 hits on the splitter in this game off of Casey Mize, which is very tough and not,
back to back. Both the RBI hits were the.
Was it Schneeman and
Schneeman was a splitter and Jose was a splitter back to back. Yep.
Okay. I know Jose was, but
yeah, Schneeman's was too.
How about that? I mean, you knew you were going to see the splitter a lot. Like, I know people complain in the comments, I didn't play, but again, Casey Mize tough on lefties because of the splitter. But they came in with a good approach. They put the ball in play, and a little bit of luck, obviously. But the way the pitching's been lately, and this bullpen, give the bullpen a lot of credit. Like Tim Herron came through, Sean Armstrong got a little bit of help, but he came through. Cody Hoyer came through. Like the bullpen stepped up in this game. The guys that you haven't seen a lot of, like Armstrong missed a month and he was shaky, but Patrick Bailey was a big reason why he got
pretty
through.
Good. After the walk, he settled in.
He
struck out the next 2 guys.
I mean, he threw 16 pitches and 9 of them were balls. So,
but he struck them out. I mean,
I'm sorry, 9. Only 9 were strikes. He did. He got a little help. They chased, which is good. Festa came in and had a good at bat, and then Herron. I'm not even going to blame Herron for the Dingler home run like that. You just got to.
I don't know how he did it. I don't know how that was such a weird one.
Even the hit off Gaddis, if you look at the hit that Gaddis gave up, it was just a pitch that was way out of the zone. You're like, I don't know. It's not even a strike. What do? You just tipped your cap. But all the guys came through. They did enough, and that's why I said this is the best win of the series, because you didn't have your main leverage arms, and you face Casey Mize, who are, again, like you said, not even arguably, is their toughest healthy pitcher right now, and you assume that after 3 out of 4, the Tigers would get one. So, they're living right a little bit. The Guardians are, but when you do good things, you tend to win ball games. And the Tigers just can't seem to do anything right. And I don't feel bad. Sorry.
No, it's
nobody felt bad for the Guardians last year where they were 15.5 out.
It's a team that's beat up, and it goes beyond that. I think if you're a Tigers fan, the scary thing is like Jahmai Jones was a force for them last year. He is struggle busing. Spencer Torkelson's looking more like the player of 2 years ago than last year. Wencel Perez has been kind of like a platoon weapon for them. He's been awful. It's Green and Dingler are great. McGonigal is, after his struggles last 2 games, he's raising his OPS and his average back up. So they got those 3, and then they have nothing else right now. And that's where they are. I mean, all those guys who peaked last year peaked, and the McKinstries and the like, and now they're struggling, and injuries certainly are affecting them big time as well.
Oh yeah.
But Cleveland, all that depth that they have built through the minors is finally now starting to pay off. And it's that fun situation where we can sit there and talk about like the guys who are sitting there waiting in AAA. Whereas right now, if the Tigers had George Valera and CJ Kavas, they would be up. They would not be, even with their early struggles, they would be up. They'd be playing for sure.
Absolutely. Speaking of things that have worked out, trades that have worked out, the Patrick Bailey trade certainly paid dividends on Thursday. We'll talk about that next.
Hey, it's Mike and John from Locked On Angels. We wanted to talk to you about something that's important, and that's your family.
I've been married a few years now, and my wife and I have a 1-year-old, and we're always thinking about his future. Who's he going to become? How can we help? And what ways can we make sure his future is secure?
Yeah, I'm in a different season. I'm married. I have 3 young adult kids, and lately I've been thinking a lot about how to make sure my family's taken care of in the long term.
This is why life insurance matters, not because it solves everything, but because it helps provide financial security for the people you love the most.
And that's where Ethos comes in. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and even get same-day coverage, and there's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions online, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month.
So take 10 minutes to get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb.
Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times may vary. Rates may vary.
I have been through a lot of workplace chaos myself. I've never hired anybody, at least in a professional capacity, but I've been through workplace chaos where you need to hire somebody when you have a position open, and it's not fun. And when the pressure's on, you need some help, and that is where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in, because it helps you reach people who actually fit what you're looking for. You're going to find somebody with the skills, the experience, and the right location, even if it's remote. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And the staff that really says it all here, the minute we've been talking, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you are hiring, you want to spend less time searching, more time getting results, less stress for you and your team by finding candidates that check all the boxes. Listeners of Locked On Guardians, you get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast. Tell them that you heard about it on Locked On Guardians. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Thank you all for checking out Locked On Guardians, making your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. Shout out to all the everydayers. You want to shout out if it be an everydayer? Join the Everydayer Club. You can head over to lockedonguardians.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes. It gets you ad-free episodes of the show on all your audio platforms. It gets you access to the private Discord server to chat with me and Jeff during games, as well as other listeners and fans of the show. And you can, check on over in that Locked On Tigers Discord and see how things are going over there if you're wanting to just see how the other half is struggling right now. So check that out. And we're also offering a 7-day free trial at any time if you want to just jump in and see what it's like. Boy, people had some mixed reactions, Jeff, on social media to my statement about Patrick Bailey. I said, anybody who didn't understand the Patrick Bailey trade, this was the day, if you watch the game, that should have made it clear. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Patrick Bailey is going to be the difference maker on this team that's going to transform everything and it's the best trade they've ever made. Like I'm not going that crazy. And some people didn't watch the game. Like, why? Because he had home run? No, the offense is nice. It's a nice bonus from him. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You don't trade for Patrick Bailey for his bat to replace Bo Naylor. Bo Naylor was doing poorly offensively, and the Guardians said all the things about, he's going to go to minor leagues, low pressure environment, work on his swing, do these things offensively. It's the defense. The defense for Bo Naylor was no longer good enough to outweigh the struggles on offense because the offense dropped so low. Patrick Bailey's offense on the whole is not any better. It was 2 days in this series if you count the RBI ground out on Wednesday. It ended up being pretty big too. You traded for him for his defense. His defense is better than Bo Naylor's. And again, if Patrick Bailey wasn't available in a trade, Bo Naylor is still your starting catcher right now, or at least a 50-50 timeshare with Austin Hedges.
The thing I'll say is where you and I disagree on this is I don't think it really had anything to do with Bo Naylor at all. I think Bo Naylor.
I said the only reason
you said because of that his defense wasn't as good as it had been. I don't think. I think even if Bo was playing, it hasn't. But I don't think that affected it. I think even if Bo's defense was better this year than in years past, it wouldn't have affected it because I think it was never about Bo on any level at all. It's just when you have a chance to get a guy who is the Aaron Judge of defense, you get it. And that's what I called him when they made that trade. It's like they have been after him for a while, and we know they liked Bo. They had high hopes for him having that breakout this year, and it didn't happen. But I think even when they've had their highest hopes for Bo, they kept their eyes on Bailey because of how important that position is for them defensively. I've talked about repeatedly, it's like Cooper Ingles really interesting, but I don't see how he'd ever be a catcher here just because of what the demands are. And the catching position in general is just a position that, it's not like fantasy. It's not like the show. It's not even like OOTP or any of the deep simulation leagues. Having to call the game with a pitch clock going on, having to, help pitchers develop. You're an extra coach out there, as well as, knowing every hitter you're going to face, knowing their tendencies, knowing where the ball needs to be and what pitches work best, knowing your own pitchers to know what they can throw and where. There is such a level of information that it makes it just a really tricky situation. And Bailey aces all of that. So, I mean, he almost I don't know if it was true or not. Someone in the comments said that he basically single-handedly raised them out of last place today in terms of ABS challenges with the number he got right. And I think they have liked Patrick Bailey for years. I think they saw a chance with an impatient GM, and you can go back and listen to where I brought up the idea of a Patrick Bailey trade because I thought it'd make a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. And you can listen to the episodes where we discussed after the trade, but they saw a way to improve their team. Now, while he's never going to be a stud offensive producer, the one thing that happened, that he has always done with the Giants is those right moments, right? He knocked in the tying run the day before. He had that home run late. Justin was telling me after one of the games recently that the new rookie catcher hit the first walk-off home run since Patrick Bailey. It was last
walk-off hit, yeah.
Yeah, walk-off hit.
Patrick
Bailey was the last rookie to do that. And, in high leverage situations, his WRC plus doubles or even triples. Maybe I'd have to go look again, but it's a bit ridiculous. So he hits when it matters. And, unlike Bo, he hits the ball consistently a little bit harder. And the one thing, he hit better in San Francisco than on the road, but I'm very curious to see once he gets used to Cleveland, once guys get used to their home parks, they always hit better there. It doesn't matter what park it is. So I'm curious to see what playing in a place that is not San Francisco could do for him over these next few years. But I agree. It's like people who know the nitty gritty, who go deep on this stuff, former catchers all love this trade. And I know what you're saying. Buster Posey's a former catcher. That's fine. Buster Posey also has made a series of terrible moves pretty much from the moment he took over the Giants. Find that good move he's made, because I'm struggling to think of one off the top of my head, from his draft picks to his trades to his free agent signings. How's Harrison Bader working out? How is that, Rafael Devers deal? Kyle Harrison looking pretty good now that he's got some actual coaching. James Tibbs, great, now that he's with a different org. something's rotten in the state of San Francisco right now.
The state of San Francisco.
Well, it's
its own state.
I'm referencing Hamlet.
Oh gosh, that went right over my head.
Something's rotten in the state of Denmark.
I ruined it.
Not a state,
Okay.
but unless I have the quote wrong, which I could easily have wrong. But yeah, outside of that, I think it's a smart trade. I don't see a way it doesn't make you better on a basic level. And at the bottom line, I think we saw that today. And we've seen it with how much better pitchers have pitched since this trade in general.
Yeah, the Guardians starters in this series, by the way, so in 4 games, gave up 5 earned runs, the starting pitchers. So Slade, Bybee, Messick, and Cantillo all gave up 5 runs in the series in 4 games. When your starters give up 5 runs in 4 games, that's pretty good. Obviously, Patrick Bailey didn't catch each game, but the moments he had in this game defensively were so important, right? In the first inning, when Joey Cantillo ends up getting 2 on and 1 out, and the bases eventually get loaded, Patrick Bailey gets him 2 strikes in an at-bat overturned there, and Joey gets out of the first inning after a very rough start. And, if Joey doesn't get out of that inning and he gives up multiple runs, the Guardians lose. And, you're talking about, Cody Hoyer pitching like 2 or 3, Matt Festa pitching 2 or 3 innings combined early in the game, just trying to get through this one without having to use any extra relievers. Instead, those extra strike turnovers that Bailey got you helped Joey get out of the inning without any runs. And then in the 9th inning, with Hunter Gaddis in the game, who has had his struggles this year, he still really can't find the changeup right now. Thankfully, the fastball and the slider still seem to be good pitches. Bailey buys him a couple of strikes. The rally cat is here, so hopefully in Philadelphia this keeps it going. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But he bought Hunter Gaddis a couple of strikes in the 9th inning too. And those are things you need to do when you have high pressure situations with the pitcher and you're working with guys who aren't your usual high leverage relievers. Like literally the Guardians probably should have lost this game. Like you had to trust Sean Armstrong, who hadn't pitched a month, in a 2-run game. Tim Herron comes in, who I know people have said in our comments about his ERA being good, but the guy is not striking anybody out this year. He's walked a ton of people. He ended up giving a home run, which I don't blame him for this one.
Disaster.
Yes, and then Cody Hoyer, who has been up and down, hasn't really been a consistent reliever in the big leagues for a couple of years, and you're using Hunter Gaddis in the closer's role, who has struggled this year since he's come back. You need to have a catcher behind the plate that can guide those kind of games for you. And by the way, the Tigers, they're not really a running team per se, but they didn't steal any bases. They weren't trying to steal bases off the Guardians. So the defensive impact is huge. And the cost of the trade, to me, I know there's a lot of arguments about the cost of the trade. I think the cost was worth it. Tugboat was not in either of our top 20 prospects. This is a weak draft.
Wasn't a top 30 for me. And yeah,
I don't know if he's even top 30 for me. I have to go.
No,
look.
He's not. He wouldn't have been top 30 for me. I can say that.
Yeah. And the first round, and then the 29th pick overall is just a different thing in general. All right. We do have to talk about a prospect who I think is definitely in our top 20. And we got to preview the series in Philadelphia ahead. It's going to be a tough one for the Guardians. They can come out on the other side of this one smelling like roses. Boy, things are going to get fun, even more fun than they've already been.
ED is way more common than most guys think. Millions of guys deal with it at some point, and that's exactly why HIMS offers a straightforward way to handle it. HIMS connects you with licensed healthcare providers online, giving you access to legitimate ED treatment options from the comfort of your home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just a straightforward process that makes it easier to take care of yourself. Looking at that last series, the Tigers, again, I'm going to recommend that they contact HIMS right away. Remember to go to HIMS/LockedOn Tigers, because you looked more like, a house cat than a tiger. It has been a rough weekend. Tigers could use all the help they could get. Their bats were certainly, I think limp would be an improvement from how their bats played in this series. I think that would be a step up to say that their bats were limp. But if they want a fully torqued bat, they need to be contacting HIMS. So to get that simple online access for personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/lockedon. That's hims.com/lockedon MLB for your free visit. hims.com/lockedon MLB. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is a generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. HIMS is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris.
Are you having fun yet for baseball season in Cleveland? Baseball season is heating up, and you can trade every game on Kalshi. Yes, on Kalshi, you can trade literally every single baseball game. Let's head over and take a look at what's ahead for the Guardians in Philadelphia this weekend. The Guardians right now trading at a 38% chance to win in Philadelphia on Friday. So they don't look very good on the odds right now. The prediction market is saying the Guardians don't have a chance. So it might be a good time to grab a position over there. And if you really believe and confident in the Guardians, if you put $100 right now, you could get $264 back if they win. And right now, if you're trading on Kalshi, you can check out Locked On, use code Locked On, and you can get $10 when you trade 10 because you're trading against peers on Kalshi in a live market. There's no house, and as the probability changes, it gives you the chance to buy in and out of your position. So if this goes up for the Guardians, they like where it's going, you can get out. That is KALSHI. Kalshi, trade on anything 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Make sure you're downloading all of the episodes of Locked On Guardians so you never miss a show, never miss a chance to chat with us about the Guardians, and hit the bell on YouTube. Get notified of reactions to every game and any other piece of big news, as well as when the episodes go live. So check all that out over there. Daniel Espino, I think this is very notable, Jeff. Daniel Espino pitched on Tuesday a full inning, was a very good inning, struck out 3, topped out, I believe, in 100 in that game. Yes, topped out in 100. And that was the 19th. He pitched today on the 21st. Now, he only pitched 2/3 of an inning, but he struck out 2 batters, allowed 1 hit. This is the first time this season that Daniel Espino has pitched on 1 day of rest. Every other game he's pitched this year has either been on 2 days of rest or 3 days of rest. So I know you might be thinking, well, that's not, who cares about that? It's a significant development for Espino, because we've said before, if you want him to be a bullpen option up here in Cleveland at some point this year, you can't have a guy who can't pitch for 2 or 3 days at a time. It just does not work in a major league bullpen. It works in AAA, if you're trying to work on things and trying to nurture guys along and protect them, which, Daniel Espino does still need some protection because he hadn't pitched since 2022 and he barely pitched that season. So finally this week, he pitched on 1 day of rest. That is the path where Espino starts to become a viable option for Cleveland. Now, it's not going to be this weekend. It's not going to be next weekend. But if we get into, mid-June and early July, and we're seeing at least once a week, Espino can pitch every other day. Maybe he pitches every other day, and then he waits 2 days and he pitches again. If he can legitimately pitch every other day, he becomes an option for you at the major league level. And the best thing about that too, Jeff, is that he didn't show any signs of breaking down, any kind of issues with his stuff. He still came out and was hitting 97, 98, had a couple whiffs on the fastball, a couple whiffs on the slider. He only gave up 1 hit. He didn't throw a ton of pitches. And then again, to the 3 batters he faced, it was only 12 pitches. So this is legitimately a good development, and it's something to keep an eye on for when he potentially becomes an option for the Guardians this year.
Yeah, it's like I was texting Justin before. I sent him like a list for the who the top over the last 3 years, who the top relievers have been in baseball. And that list is, there's the names you expect at the top, but then Brooks Raley is among the 30 best pitchers, relief pitchers in baseball over the last 3 years by FIP. And that's not knocking him. He's a player who is consistently useful in his role, but he is not someone that most people think of as one of the 30 best relievers of baseball. So as much as we talked about relief maybe being a number one area of help for this team, there is a chance, and I'm not saying this just because I know other people are going to be like, oh, it's because they don't want to, give up prospects or prospect. It's not even that. It's like what Espino and Walters can bring is probably better than, I would argue, 95% of what will be available for relievers at the deadline in terms of what we think they're going to be able to do. So unless you can maybe get a Garrett Whitlock out of Boston, that might be the dream scenario. Seeing him get in this position, they now, at the start of the year, they said, well, we don't know. Maybe he's a starter, maybe he's a reliever. They've picked their lane and they're running with it. And this is exactly how they should handle it. and it's great to see, because the first time he had kind of the lower gap between his appearances. It didn't go great, but he's getting better every time, right? Like that's what we've talked about. Every time he's getting a little bit better with it, and we saw him, in this most recent one, show that. So I mean, he is going to help this team this year, unless there is an injury. Barring health, he is going to help the Guardians at some point this year.
Off topic, and we can dive into this in the future, because there we've mentioned Riley O'Brien, and you just mentioned Garrett Whitlock, who I agree with you on. We talked about having a second lefty in the bullpen. This is way out of left field, and I think the odds are very low, but it just the thought just occurred to me, because you talked about like who's going to be available at the deadline, right? And we talked about a left-handed reliever being of interest. Is there any world where the Astros, they're going to be sellers, right? For sure. I think they're going to sell.
I think they might trade Hader.
I was thinking Josh Hader. Yes, you read my mind. Now, here's the thing. He makes $19 million a year on average, and he's locked up through 26 and 27 and 28. So you have him for it's the same like the time as Andrew Miller. It's the rest of this year, and then it's 7 and 8.
The Miller had the sweetheart deal. That was part of his value as well. If we're being honest.
It was a cheaper deal.
He was locked into a sweetheart deal.
And is Josh Hader going to come to Cleveland? Like, again, this is totally hypothetical right now, but is Josh
I don't think
Hader
he'll come to Cleveland? It's like, is he willing to not close?
That's what I was going to say. Yes. Is he willing to not close? I mean, he's already got his big money deal, and by the end of this deal, he'll be 35 years old. So,
but he might be trying to chase history or trying to chase down a Hall of Fame. Like, if he loses a closer role, then he might be like, then he's no longer potentially a Hall of Famer. It's like, how many guys who were not closers ever get in?
Did not care. He wasn't a closer in New York because they had Chapman most of the year. But yeah, something to pay attention to, something to think about.
No, it's interesting. I had someone ask about Luke Weaver. I thought his $12.5 million option would take Cleveland out of him. But yeah, it's interesting.
It's expensive, but he would be in theory.
I saw him mentioned in relation to the San Diego Padres. I still don't understand how the Padres are as good as they are. That's for another day. But apparently, like, it's interesting where the Padres are like, no, we're just going to load up on relievers. Like, that's their whole approach. Like, we're just going to try to make the game when we put in our bullpen, it's death. And their bullpen means death. So when they try to do that, I'll be very curious to see. But, and he'd be great and this and that. But it's like, I don't know. I am still most intrigued to see Walters and Espino more than just about anyone you can get at the deadline. And that's, I mean, I'd be totally fine with Hader. I'd be excited for Hader, not totally fine. Let's be honest. It would be, I wouldn't need Hims if they added Hader. I put it that way. But just because of what he would do to transform the back of this pen. But, when you're looking at the whole picture of it, I think the real excitement comes from, like, not only could they add an arm because they have the depth and the pieces and so many other guys are playing well, but then they've got their own internal ones that are also very exciting. Like, they have a chance to make their own bullpen of death, and it's going to be fun. I mean, like I said, even I'm going to throw this out there. This weekend could go horrifically bad. Christopher Sanchez is Tampa Bay's version of Junior Caminero. They made a terrible trade and let him go to Philly, and now he's one of the best pitchers on the planet. Probably the best pitch, probably the most underrated pitcher on the planet, I'd say, is Christopher Sanchez. Yeah, that's fair. Somehow Wheeler came back from thoracic outlet, right? And hasn't missed
at age 35, by the way. At age 35,
it's amazing. Like, that's amazing. It's a story that does not get enough attention. So they've got tough. The Phillies have rebounded well, and like, it's still got Kyle Schwarber and a lot of really good Bryce Harper hitters out there. So no matter what happens, though, it's like they're in a nice run right now. I'm excited to see what happens. It's a long season. You're going to have your ups and downs, but this team has set themselves up with the talent on the roster, the talent in AAA, the talent, coming up beyond that I don't think I've been this excited for a season over the last few years. And they made the playoffs most years, but it's like, it's so fun to watch the young kids get integrated. It's so fun to watch, Jose still being here when you never expected it in your heart of hearts, probably a decade ago. I don't know. If you're not having fun with this team, reevaluate your fandom.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I when I was at the 2016 reunion game last Friday, and he was going out there talking to Kluber and Kipnis and Cody Allen, all those guys, I was like, man, who would have thought 10 years later this kid be still playing and he'd still be with Cleveland? Like, you never would have thought that. and where things have gone. So that's absolutely right. And it has been fun. I think every game now we saw somebody in our comments, and I don't know who it was. So apologies, but someone said like every game right now is kind of like must watch. Like they are. Oh, I think it was Mich. Oh, I'm gonna butcher the name. Michelle or Michael on Twitter was talking about listening to the episode, and he said every Guardians game is must watch because even if they don't win, you feel like they're gonna have a chance. They're gonna do something. There's something to follow. There's Jose, DeLauder, Bazzana, the pitching rotation, the bullpen is mostly fun. Like you got guys like Holderman who you didn't expect to be dominant relievers, right? So there are a lot of fun pieces right now. And yeah, this is going to be a tough weekend. Like Christopher Sanchez legitimately is not going to be a fun matchup for this team, especially Friday will be fun. It'll be Gavin Williams. So Gavin Williams has to bring his A game because the Phillies are hot in the month of May. They were off to a bad start. They fired their manager. Alec Baum's crushing the ball. Kyle Schwarber's Kyle Schwarber. Bryce Harper's Bryce Harper. Bryson Stott is crushing the ball. I've always liked him. Brandon Marsh is having a good month. And then Justin Crawford, I was never a big fan of his. He's having a decent month. So the Phillies are hot. And then, you got Sanchez. And then you got Zach Wheeler, who's ridiculous against Slade Cicotte. And Sunday should be interesting. You got Painter, who's not having a great month of May, versus Parker Messick, who's been having a very good year. So I hope this is a competitive series. You definitely need to bring your A game as a staff. But the nice thing is, heading into Friday with Gavin Williams, if he pitches well, you've got Cade Smith and Colin Holderman, Eric Sabrowski with a day of rest. So hopefully they'll be ready to go on Saturday, and you can use them, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This should be a fun weekend. I think every game in this series is going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be a test with the way the Phillies are playing and the bats they have in their lineup and the starters you're going to see. But it's definitely must watch.
No, I fully agree. I mean, every game's, like you said, must watch. It's just it's so much fun. It's what happens for all the years of complaining about this team not being able to develop hitters. Well, when you got Roque,
by the way,
Martinez,
who's not having a good year is the guy everybody wanted to sign, Adolis Garcia, 71 WRC plus. Just saying.
It's
everybody wanted that guy.
We could bring up Harrison Bader with the Giants after we talked about that earlier with their moves. You'd never want to shop in the middle of free agency. That's the thing. If you can't buy high end, don't shop at all. It's kind of unfortunately the way it works in free agency. It's
stay off Fifth Avenue if you can't afford the prices. Yes.
Fifth Avenue is the only place you want to be. Don't go down the. You either want to go. You want to be diving in dumpsters, or you want to be buying the top, and even the top. I mean, look at Bichette, who the Phillies probably
started to heat up.
That they missed on.
Well, Happy 6-7 on Discord had a good sarcastic comment and said, "I wonder how much better things would have been had they done anything this offseason." It was very sarcastic, tongue in cheek, but yeah, I mean, I was as mad as anybody, Jeff. I was like, "Oh, they didn't do anything. They didn't grab anybody."
I remember talking you down off of after Ref Snyder. Like that was probably the roughest day for you. Yes. I think that was the roughest day of the offseason.
I was so sure it was a good fit. Yeah, and again, there's still a lot of season to go. They got a lot of young players. They're pushing, but credit to them. They said we're going to play the kids, and the kids are all right.
Oh, nice Who reference there. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to rate and review, download daily. It helps. Tell us what you are enjoying most in the season, player or something. Is it us? And shout out to Cleveland fan in Philly. I know I butchered your name, but I hope you enjoy that game with Messick.
Get a win.
He's got some nice seats. So thank you all, and go Guardians, go.